Hello, everyone. This is BigManBakar. Welcome to the latest episode of our RotoWire's deadline streams. I am BigManBakar, and I will be with you for the next half an hour to help you to the best of my ability, answering all the questions that you have before the Gameweek 18 deadline. First of all, a belated Merry Christmas to everyone celebrating. I hope you've had a good time with your friends and family, and I hope you continue on enjoying your holidays. Amidst all that, there's this small matter of back-to-back Premier League fixtures that we're gonna witness in the next few weeks. And it feels like quite a critical stage in the season because with the game weeks coming thick and fast, there's not enough time to react to decisions. There, you have to be proactive. So I'll start by giving you an example of how I felt over the past week. So on Saturday, I owned Szoboszlai, so he got a yellow card versus Spurs, and my initial instinct was that I'd sell Szoboszlai in my team. Immediately after that, there was the Arsenal game, and in that game, I owned Saka. Saka ended up giving a penalty to Gyökeres to take, which meant that a 10.5 million penalty taker, who I assume would be a regular penalty taker, turned out that he would be rotating penalties with someone else. So I assumed that I would sell Saka. Thankfully, I was patient, and by the very next day, Bruno Fernandes got injured, and this is perhaps the worst time for him to get injured because he's sort of the glue guy. You need him to be fit for the festive fixtures. One of the main reasons why I own him is because I know that he's a 90-minute man. He'll play pretty much every minute. He barely ever gets injured. And obviously, this is all the more appealing in the Christmas schedule where the games are coming thick and fast. But now, all of a sudden, he's injured. So that sort of threw all of my plans up in the air and meant that I had to devise a new plan. Then on Tuesday, Hincapié was not named in the Arsenal squad against Crystal Palace, and his availability is still up in the air. So, constantly I've been evolving with my team where I've had to be on my toes, thinking proactively what to do, what not to do. Anyway, without further ado, I would now request you all to start getting your questions in so that I can start answering them. I'll try and answer as many as I can. This show is more about you, your teams, rather than mine. I've just given a very brief overview of my team, my problems, but I'm not here to talk about my team. I mean, I'm here to help you guys out with whatever problems you're facing. First comment is from Rishi. Happy festive break. What do you do with Hincapié? Start first. That would be Elliot Anderson. Very good question. And I think what you do with Hincapié ultimately comes down to the option that you have available on your bench to replace him, or ultimately on your budget to replace him. So in my team, for example, I have Hincapié, but my bench this week reads Dubravka, Wanheke, who's playing away to Arsenal, and he's also a bit of a doubt because he was ill, didn't play the previous game as well. I then have Mark Hughes, pretty much a 0 or a 1-pointer at best, and then I have Szoboszlai, who I'm keeping because Liverpool have good fixtures ahead, so I want to have Szoboszlai in place. So my options are very limited. My team is not great. It's quite a poor bench this week, and I don't have any Liverpool attack. The Liverpool attacker that I have, Szoboszlai, is on my bench. But the good thing is that I have 5 free transfers to react to these injuries. So personally, I think I will be selling Hincapié in my team because my bench is not good enough to cope with any sort of absence. And because I feel relatively comfortable because I was probably going to be selling Hincapié for Gabriel in, let's say, a couple of weeks down the line anyway. I think I'll probably sell him for Timber in my team, Rishi. In your case, Elliot Anderson is a credible first sub. I mean, he should be good for 4 points, I would think. I mean, he's in my starting 11 this week, so it just goes to show, where my team is at right now. So I think if your first sub is Elliot Anderson, you can potentially risk a Hincapié start. But if I had to guess, I do think that he'll miss out. If you can stretch to someone like a Timber, I think then it's probably worth moving. Saleh has sent his team. He's not sent a question, so I would like to know the question that you have, whether it's regarding a transfer. I would also like to know, the number of free transfers or in the bank that you have available. Next question is from Cora Goal, Ekitike or Haaland for the captaincy. I think I would go with Haaland. As good as Ekitike is, he's not a penalty taker, and he's not Haaland, right? Like Haaland's ceiling is obviously higher, even though the fixture is relatively more difficult as compared to Ekitike, but I'd still go Haaland. Next question is from Saleh. Should I take a hit? No free transfer left. I think the team is fine enough for you not to take a hit, because I mean, you have Nkapie, but then again, your bench is Dubravka, Sabosla, Margiud, Dewsbury Hall. I don't think I would take a hit in that team. I would probably risk a Nkapie start, because if you take a hit, you're effectively looking at 4 points just to break even, and that seems like a bit of a stretch. So I think I would probably just keep Nkapie and maybe move him on next week for Timber if he doesn't play this week. Any other questions? Still awaiting any further questions that you guys might have. Next question is from NK Start Wilson, who's playing West Ham away, or Tavernier playing Brentford away. That's an interesting question. I think I would probably go with Wilson. I think the fixture is relatively easier, and I'm not sure whether he's going to be fit, but I would assume that he's going to be fine this week. That's at least what Marco Silva has said in the press conference quotes that have come out. Just for clarity, there are no updates on Nkapie. So all we have are like embargoed quotes from Tuesday night's press conference, which were released today, but they were all embargoed quotes. So we don't have anything latest on Nkapie. And obviously, given the festive schedule, it is highly unlikely that anything else shows itself before the deadline. Rishi is saying, thank you for the reply. I think I'll keep Nkapie. Would need a hit to take out. Yeah, don't take him out for a hit. That's what I said to Saleh as well. So I can just play Elliot Anderson, have 0.8 million in the bank, but that's to move Nkapie to Gabriel on his back. What seems imminent? Yes, I think have Gabriel. Arteta did say that he hasn't started training so far, but he's getting closer and closer. So I would assume maybe game week 20 for a start. That's what I would assume. That's Bournemouth away for Arsenal, if I'm not mistaken. In case saying, have 3 free transfers, would you play Vandenberg or Nkapie to Keane and down to 2 free transfers? I think Nkapie to Keane is fine. I don't mind that. Depends on your first bench as well. If your first bench is Vandenberg, then you can keep Nkapie, I think, if that's what you're sort of trying to say. Guys, keep sending in your questions. It's been 8 minutes and I'm yet to hear about Ekitike from any one of you. I mean, I assume that you guys have already bought him in, because he's been bought by thousands and thousands of managers all over the world, and he's already risen like 0.3 million in price. So I assume that he is already in your teams, which is why no question is being asked regarding him, because Ekitike was actually the biggest conundrum for me this week. I came to the conclusion that my team was such that he did not fit in my team structure, because realistically I would have had to sell Saka to get him in, or Virgil or Tarkowski. And Virgil Tarkowski is just very good holds. So I was then of the opinion that if Saka is my make weight to get to Ekitike, I think I'd probably keep Saka. Especially, I think it becomes a bit more important after the Bruno injury, because he would then allow me an easy route back to Bruno or Palmer later if needed. So I think Saka is a hold. So I decided to dodge Ekitike, but the FOMO is real and a lot of people are buying him. I also wanted to touch a bit on Thiago. Now I've kept Thiago. He has blanked in some of his recent fixtures, and the underlying data has been worrying. But then again, when I look at the next 2 fixtures that he has 3 home fixtures out of the next 4. And he is a penalty taking forward at a very affordable price. So I don't think he's worth a transfer out. I think he's fine to keep. If I had the exact cash to jump on Ekitike, I might have considered it. But I see what people are doing is that they're committing like major surgery in their teams. They're using a lot of free transfers. They are taking hits to get Ekitike. That's something I don't personally agree with, because I still think that Thiago remains a decent enough pick. Captaincy shout on Ekitike. I have discussed this earlier. I think I will be going with Haaland. I just don't see myself going against him this week. Even if I owned Ekitike, I don't think I would have gone against Haaland, because he just does not have the same ceiling that Haaland does, irrespective of fixture. I also wanted to touch a bit on Bruno Fernandes replacements. Now that is another very, very popular dilemma this week, and I assume the significant majority of you already had him. Given his performances over the past few weeks. So I had Bruno Fernandes. I swapped him out to Cunha on Sunday, was it? Before Cunha's rise. Now it's sad that Fernandes has missed out, but a lot of people seem to be concerned about Cunha because of Man United's creativity, which might suffer in the absence of Bruno, which is fair, and that's a fair assumption. But my counter argument is that when you're playing Burnley and Wolves in two of the next four fixtures, I think he'll be fine. I mean, if I'm playing as a striker against Wolves and Burnley, even I might stand a chance of nicking something. So Cunha will be fine. He's also going to be on penalties, I think, in the absence of Bruno, and with no Mbomo and no Ahmad, I just think um, he's sort of the natural talisman in the squad with the fixtures. And I know United might suffer a dip in performance. They might not be as good as they initially were in some of the previous weeks. But going forward, even if they score like 1 to 2 goals every game, which is a fair assumption at the very least, then it will be fine. I don't think there will be any issue. Please keep sending in your questions. We still have a further 16 minutes left. I am here to answer all your questions, whether they're team specific, whether they're general. And guessing Cunha probably gets pens too now. Yes, that's what I mentioned. I do think that Cunha will be on pens as well. I don't think that anyone else will take pens over Cunha. Sheshko maybe, but I think Cunha is the big talisman at this point in time at Man United. What are you guys' thoughts on Timber? I mean, I'm considering on getting Timber this week, and it feels as if I'm a bit late to the party now. Hincapié has been getting me good points, more points than Timber actually in recent weeks because of the defensive contribution. So is Timber still a buy at 6.5 million? That's what I'm wondering. I mean, 6.5 million is a bit of an awkward price to invest at. I mean, it's quite pricey. But I'm wondering whether it's worth still making that move given the price. Maybe someone like Calafiori, just that Calafiori's injury record just does worry me a bit. Next question is Bruno to Wirtz. Already have Cunha. If not Wirtz, who's the alternative? I think you have it right. I would go with Wirtz. Liverpool's fixtures and the fact that Wirtz, his minutes are actually quite secure at this point in time with the rest of the alternatives injured. I think Wirtz is a really good pick. If not Cunha, because you already have him. Yeah, United look decent going forward. Defense let them down. Totally agree. That's been the case all season. I mean, they've been good all season going forward. If I'm not mistaken, only City have scored more goals than United this season. Lala has sent me Steam. I have no idea what the question is because I can't respond to the question without knowing what it is or having a clue of the number of free transfers or in the bank that you have. So keep sending in your questions. I'll try and respond to them. Rogers was another talking point of the week. I mean, a lot of people have now invested in Rogers or are more invested in Rogers than they were initially after, obviously, the performance against Man United. He has been getting plenty of points in recent weeks. But I would like to point out that the underlying data suggests that he has been overperforming. And I simply won't invest before two away fixtures to Chelsea and Arsenal. I mean, this is just not the right time to invest. I think I'm a firm believer of form over fixtures, and if the fixtures aren't there, I don't think I would be too keen to invest. I would not be forcing myself to go Rogers. Next question is thoughts on Gordon. Now that's a very good question because if I read out Newcastle's fixtures. This week it's Man United away, which is again a good fixture for the Newcastle attack. Then they have Burnley, Crystal Palace at home, Leeds at home, Wolves away. So next 5 are really, really good. Gordon is someone I have considered. I'm not exactly looking to bringing him in my team because I was looking at his Premier League minutes. And the last time he clocked 90 minutes in the Premier League was in August, if I'm not mistaken. So just looks like the kind of guy who will start but will get subbed early. And that's not something that appeals to me as much. I think if you want to get a Newcastle guy, I think Hall is worth consideration. Lewis Hall is practically their only fit left back at this point in time, and the fixtures are good enough to justify the investment. I think if you're buying a defender next week in particular, I think he stands out. Also, the fact that a lot of you, I remember, I think it was last season, Hall was quite popular as well and did really well for a number of people. I did not own him. But Newcastle had a good run of fixtures, and he did very well. Was on set pieces too. Worth taking a hit for Keane or play with Senesi, Rodon, Virgil, Hincapié at the back. It depends on who your first sub is for Hincapié. It depends on that. But I would be quite against taking a hit, I would think. Rishi is saying going forward in a few weeks, I will want Fernandes back, Palmer coming too. Is Saka likely with the downgrade? That's why I like Saka. That is exactly why I like Saka, because the fixtures from now on in are okay for attack. He's had his rest in the cup. And personally, I do think that because they're sharing penalties around, I think Saka will now take the next penalty. And yes, I mean, if you feel like selling Saka to Palmer or Fernandes, he's an easy replacement. That's why I like him as a cash cow rather than redistributing that cash across the rest of the squad. Next question is from Mohammed. I want to get Wirtz and Keane instead of Senesi and Neto. What do you say? I mean, good transfers. Nothing much to add. Asad is saying thoughts on Paqueta as a fifth mid, rotates well with Minte. Yes, I think Paqueta is a good option at 5.9 million. And if I was buying a cheap midfielder this week, I think Paqueta would be the one I would go for. I'd expect him to be on pens. I'd expect him to be on set pieces. The fixtures are nice. I would like to read out West Ham's fixtures. It's Fulham at home, Brighton at home, Wolves away, Forest at home, Spurs away, Sunderland at home. So next six fixtures are nice. The only sort of worry with Paqueta is it's firstly the fact that he keeps on getting these yellow cards are very annoying, and secondly the fact that that he is not getting the 90 minutes that he used to initially early in the season. Now he's getting subbed around the 83 minute mark if you look at recent weeks. So that's something I would keep an eye on. But he's still someone I would buy if I was buying in that bracket. Next question is Rodgers surely can't keep scoring against these wonder goals. Will run isn't necessarily reflective on their actual forms. I agree to quite a large extent, and that's why I think Rodgers is a firm avoid. Not at least until the fixtures turn good. Next question is Keane or Tarko. I think I would go with Tarko because I think the caveat here is that Tarko is on 4 yellows and he could be suspended in one of the next 2 fixtures if he picks up a yellow. But once you avoid that, he's just a set and forget for a while. Whereas with Keane, you're always, keeping an eye out on Branthwaite returning, and Branthwaite could be back in like 4 or 5 game weeks. So I just think Tarko is a better long-term hold, even though I think Keane is a fine buy as well. I don't think you should be comparing them like for like, but I think Tarkowski should be a bigger priority, but Keane is a good buy as well. And I wouldn't mind doubling up, let's say if I was on Wildcard this week. Next question is opinion on getting Gakpo next week instead of Cunha. I will go with Cunha. I think there's actually a good chance that I might even captain Cunha at home to Wolves next week. I rate him that highly because obviously the fixture will be nice. I expect him to be the talisman. He's a midfielder, gets extra points per goal. But I was going to say per clean sheet, but Man United never keep clean sheets. So I think Cunha is just it's just a very easy buy. I don't think it's worth overthinking that one at all. Asad is asking best Richards replacement under 4.5. I would have said Keane at 4.6, but because you mentioned 4.5, I would probably now go with Mukiele, I think, from Sunderland. I think he will do a decent job, and he occasionally plays the right wing back as well. And the fixture at home to Leeds this week means that he's quite playable. All right, guys, last 10 minutes are left. So if you have any questions, keep sending them in. It's really nice to see a lot of people joining in. If you have any questions, please send them in straight away. Please like the video. If you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel. That would mean the world to us. I feel Mufasa is saying, playing BB, but Bruno is out. Should I take hit for Cunha? My mid is Ford and Wilson, so many of Miley Bruno. I think Bruno should have been sold for a free like ages ago. Why has it come to this point where you need to sell him for a hit? I think he should have been probably the first guy should be selling with the free transfer that he had. But yes, I would probably reluctantly just take the hit for Cunha at this point. Frederick is saying is doubling up on Timber and Gabriel Smart when Gabriel is back. Yes, why not? I mean, I might even triple up with Raya. So, one of the listeners above was mentioning that, Saka to Fernandes or Saka to Palmer could happen. That would even then open up the chance of tripling up on Arsenal or doubling up on Arsenal, depending on your team structure. Mohammed is asking, will Hincapié start this week or is he out? I think he will miss out personally. And without any further news, which we're unlikely to get, I just think that is quite an easy sell if you have the luxury to sell him, especially with no good sub. Freddie is asking, is Minte worth holding on to, or should the transfer to Szoboszlai be done? I think the transfer to Szoboszlai should be done, but I also think there are cases depending on your team where Minte is worth holding on to. So irrespective of your team, I think Szoboszlai should be a priority next week because of the fixtures, because of his price, and because I expect him to be on penalties. Bradley's expected to be back by then, so I expect Szoboszlai to be playing right wing, and there will then be no cloud over his shoulder. The suspension tightrope will not be there. So Szoboszlai is a priority transfer in. I would probably try and find another way of getting him in because Minte has West Ham next week and then has Burnley at home. So I do think Minte is probably someone I would keep and I would bench this week. I would also like to touch a bit upon on Rice because Rice is also mid-price midfielder that a lot of you are talking about, and I think that Rice is fine. But as mentioned earlier, I think if I'm picking three from Arsenal, it like in the short run or even the long run, it will be three out of Raya, Saka, Gabriel, Timber. And because Arsenal are the best defense in the league and they're one of the best teams in the league, I want to ensure that I am not picking a budget player from Arsenal. I want to pick the best players from Arsenal. And as good as Rice has been this season, I don't think in terms of FPL, he can match any of these four guys for output. So they would be my priorities. Mukiele or Alderate, 0.2 million cheaper. I think Mukiele probably because he offers more attacking threat. Sachin is saying Ekitike and Keane in for Thiago and Capie. I have personally decided against the Thiago to Ekitike transfer. I went on about it at length earlier in the video, and in Capie to Keane is fine. I guess that's a good transfer. Keep Oltomade or Thiago. I think Thiago's safer for minutes, even though you can argue that maybe Newcastle's fixtures are slightly better. Thiago's better for minutes, so I think I would probably keep him. Any news on Wilson? The manager said that they're hopeful that he will be fine. Frederick is saying, is Dorgo an option now at 4.1 million? I don't think I would go there. I think the United defense is really poor. If I'm looking at buying someone, and even then I would probably avoid. But if you force me into picking someone, I think I would probably go Dalo. I think his place in the side is more secure. I think he's also 4.4 million, so quite cheap as well. Saka to Rodgers after 2 weeks. I think in 2 weeks' time you might be wanting Palmer or Bruno. So yeah, it depends. Keep sending in your questions. Last 5 minutes to go, guys. Keep sending in your questions. I'm waiting for further questions. I'm still awaiting some thoughts on Timber, by the way. I want to know from you guys whether you think he's a good buy at the price that he comes at this point in time, or whether you think he's just a firm avoid. Cornell is saying, hey, finally your own channel. It's actually not my channel. I'm working for RotoWire. But yes, I will be doing the weekly deadline streams pretty much every week. So you guys can join in every single time. It means a lot. I want to bench boost this week. Shall I sell Hincapié and keep Senesi? Yes, I think if you're bench boosting, then keeping Senesi and selling Hincapié makes more sense. So the same thoughts on Saka captaincy. I think Saka will do well this week, actually. But then again, he's not Haaland. So I just this week is like a simple choice on Haaland and no one else, in my opinion. Frederick is saying, bring in Sanchez for BB in 19 for Dubravka. My second keeper is Verbruggen. I think, yeah, that's doable. I don't mind that. I don't mind that from that point onwards. -8 for Bruno, Gakpo, and Dewsbury Hall for Saka, Gordon, and Stack. I cannot endorse the sort of hits that you're mentioning. If there's a way where you can get away with this, because I'm wondering that if you have already made your transfers and because you were given like 5 free transfers to the African Cup of Nations, why are you still in a position where you own Bruno, Gakpo, and Dewsbury Hall? Like, this is like quite a disaster because all 3 of them are injured. What do you think about Hincapié? If he starts, I don't think Hincapié will start personally, but he could, because we don't have any concrete information. But from what I think, I just think that he's probably going to miss out. Marcelo's saying, I want to bench boost this week. That's why. I mean, there's a way where you can probably bench boost next week and maybe keep the hits to a minimum. Maybe that's doable. Pascal is saying, where's the Cunha if I can afford only one this week? Maybe worse this week and sell to Cunha next week. No, I would just go Cunha. I just think Cunha is an easy Bruno replacement. I've gone on about it at length in the video, and I think Birds is the one I would pick if Cunha wasn't an option or if I already own Cunha. Saka versus Cunha versus Gordon. I think all three of them come at a very different price, so it's very difficult for me to compare the three of them. So, like, I would appreciate if you could sort of give me an understanding of what you're trying to ask. FPL Mufasa. Last 3 minutes, guys. Keep sending in your questions. Rishi is saying Timber is a void. Gets in good positions but can't finish. How well has he done tracking wise since that big haul start of season? Yes, he hasn't done much here, right? And you're also right in saying that the finishing isn't good because he has been getting good opportunities. If you look at his XG in some of the recent games, the past 4 to 6 games, he's had like plenty of big missed chances. So yeah, I completely hear that. But then again, Rishi, I'm the sort of guy who would rather be in a position where I'm sort of giving myself the chance to get lucky, and I would rather have a guy who's at least getting these chances and missing them rather than someone who doesn't get them. So I just wanted to put myself in that position to get lucky. Bowen or Voldemort long term. I don't think both of them are long term options, but I would probably go with Bowen if picking one, I guess. Any Sunderland asset to consider this week? I think there are probably 2 to 3 because of the home fixture to Leeds. I think if you're buying a budget mate, Enzo Lafay is actually good. He's on pens and his minutes are secure with the rest of the guys gone for AFCON. And Mukiele, Alderate, both are fine in defense. I'd probably go Mukiele for the attacking threat, but given the fixture, both of them are fine. Fernandes to Cunha -4. I have no bench, and otherwise Ngapi is out. Yes, I would do that. I would do that for sure. Is Xhaka a hold? Xhaka hasn't done much. At that price, though, I am struggling to find too many alternatives. I guess there's Enzo Lafay, you can go for them. But it depends on the number of free transfers you have, I guess. I have 10.4 Saka versus Cunha versus Gordon. Like, okay, so if you're saying that you can buy any one of these, which one would you get? That's the question. I think both Saka and Cunha are nice. I don't think I'd get Gordon. He's not a 90-minute man, so it has to be between Saka and Cunha, and I own both, so I'd struggle to pick between them. Maybe Saka, I think. Maybe, just about. Thoughts on Virgil? I have him in my team, and I think it's a good hold. Yes, I have Virgil, and I'm very comfortable having him for at least till Game 22, I think, because I want him for that home game against Burnley as well. And I see a lot of people, like you mentioned, are looking at moving him on before he plays, I think, Fulham and Arsenal for Gabriel in 20, which could be okay. But I think he's okay for DEFCONs. And Liverpool have underachieved on their XG conceded stats this season. So it's actually, he's been quite a frustrating hold because I don't think he's as bad as people make him out to be. I hope he can get a set piece goal because he has come close a couple of occasions, especially against Leeds, but he hasn't been able to hit the back of the net, so that would be huge. Anyway, guys, enjoy your holidays. I will now take your leave. I hope that you have a great game week. Just a final reminder, if you haven't liked the video, subscribe to the channel, please do. And I hope I see you on the back of more green arrows next game week. Bye-bye.